Good morning, class. How are we all doing?
Good.
Great. Okay, today we're doing the Smarter Balance Assessment Consortium Roof Rehab or Roof Truss Classroom Activity. And today we have a few learning goals, and this will help prepare you for the test that you're going to take tomorrow, the math portion of it. And our learning goals is really so you can just learn something about roof construction. I'm sure you've seen people putting roofs together, but we need to think about the steps and considerations involved in constructing a roof or a truss. And we're going to learn what that is. So one of the things you're going to learn, different names for wood, what a truss is, various names for wood to construct trusses. And so I think, having said that, let me show you something and give you what that looks like. Assuming I can get this to go. Here we go. Okay, so in figure 1, and here we go. Today we're going to discuss roof construction so we can prepare for the performance task on your test. So here's a picture description. There's 3 houses. The roof of each house has a different level of steepness or pitch. 2 halves of the roofs come together at different angles because of the different levels of steepness. 2 halves of the first roof create an angle that is about 110 degrees. That's the first one. Okay. Second roof is steeper, right? So you can see it's about 75 degrees, and the 2 halves, the third is about, it's really almost 180 here, but it's 160. If it was completely flat, it would be 180 degrees. Okay. All right, so today we're going to discuss this. Imagine that you and several classmates have volunteered to help build roofs for several homes. We have a lot of volunteerism going on around this school, so this is something you might think about doing. So to get ready for this task, we will learn about vocabulary and concepts needed in your new role as volunteer roofer. Okay. So roofs come in all shapes and sizes. Why do some roofs seem very steep and others seem very flat? And when I answer that, why would they make them differently? Yes?
Steep ones are meant to let water run off.
Better water runoff. If we actually had snow in Southern California, it's probably better if you had a lot of snow, or if you had a lot of debris, kind of under trees or something. Be better. Good. What other advantage?
That's it.
And you see another advantage? I see. What do you see here?
Second story.
You might be able to use the space for something else, an extra bedroom up there or whatever, right? Okay. Of course, the steeper roof, things are easy to slide off. Of course, this one, if you just want to hang out and see the view, that's probably a better one, right? You could probably hang out, maybe make a little patio out of your roof or something like that, right? Okay, so the steepness of a roof is called the pitch, okay? What term in math would we use to define steepness? Anyone have an idea? So, okay, what I heard it.
Slope.
Slope, okay. Yeah, that's right. So pitch is just another word for slopes. Okay? All right. Let's move ahead. All right, this is a roof truss, figure 2. It's a building with a partially constructed roof. You can see long pieces of wood nailed together in the shape of triangles. There we go. These triangles are evenly spaced on the top of the building, and they form the frame for the roof. Okay. All right. What do you notice about the shape of the roof? I just said it. Triangular, right? Okay. All right. What else do you notice? What about this distance?
They're equidistant.
Ooh, equidistant. Yes, they're evenly spaced. Equidistant. Good. Okay. Very good. Anything else you notice about the structure? What about this shape?
It's a square.
So what does that make this kind of? Okay. Are you seeing it? Okay. All right. By the way, each triangular section, just in case you didn't know, that's called a roof truss. It's the structure which supports the roof. Roofs are actually pretty heavy. We're going to learn in a minute that you put plywood on top of that, and on top of that you're putting some kind of roofing material, and it is a very heavy thing. So anyway, each roof needs several roof trusses. All of the roof trusses together form the roof frame. So this whole thing would be called the frame, roof frame. Okay. Why is it important to have several trusses in a roof frame?
To support the heaviness.
Yeah, to support the load, right? Very good. Yes, otherwise it would be like if there was half of these and you got a lot of weight on it, it's going to start sagging and not going to be very good. It might just collapse eventually, right? Okay. The pieces of wood that make up the roof trusses are called by many different names. Does anyone know any of the names? What do you call this kind of wood?
Plywood.
Is it plywood? That's not plywood. I don't see plywood. That might be plywood here. What's up here? Up here. What do you call it?
Lumber or tuber?
A lumber. Could be 2x4s, 2x6s, 2x8s, depending on what size these are. Yeah, that usually it's pretty industry standard thing. Good. All right. Other things you might call these: beams, braces, cords, joists. We said lumber, posts, rafters. You get the rafters, it's usually talking about the inner side. Struts, web members. There are a lot of different names for these. So the wood used in these buildings is called by many different names. For this performance task, you do not need to know all the different names. You only need to know that all these names refer to the pieces of wood that form the roof truss. So if you saw something and it's talking about the lumber or the rafters, you say, oh yeah, I know what we're talking about. All right, I'm going to move ahead. This is the ridge line. It's a rectangular building with a roof frame on top. A line is drawn across the triangular shaped trusses. You know what those are now, right? Along the peak of the roof. And this line is, as you can see, labeled ridge line. Okay. The ridge line of the roof is along the top of all the trusses. So here's a question. Why do you think it is called a ridge line? Any ideas? Well, yes.
It's kind of like the
Ridge at the top of what?
at the roof,
What else? Where else would you find a ridge?
mountain.
Yeah, it's named after the part where mountains come together at the top. It's called the ridge. So you can look along the ridge of the San Gabriel Mountains just above us here in Arcadia. All right, very good. Well, there are many different roof truss designs, and I'm going to share with you a couple different views of what that might look like. Here are some roof truss designs. Figure 4 shows 2 sample roof trusses. Each truss is a large triangle with extra struts inside it to create more support for the roof. The extra struts create 2 different designs in the 2 triangles. The first truss has 4 struts inside, creating 5 smaller triangles. See, there's your triangles, right? Okay. The second truss has 3 vertical struts inside, creating a symmetrical pattern with a triangle and trapezoid. Here's your triangles and trapezoids. On each side, there are short vertical lines underneath and at the outer edges of the triangular trusses. These represent where the trusses are attached to the walls of the building. Okay. So, as you can see, here are 2 examples of roof truss designs. Does anyone know the specific names of any of these roof truss designs? And if you do, you must have a dad who's a contractor. Anybody? Are you thinking? Are you okay? It's okay. I'm okay if you don't know. These things are things called perhaps like bowstring. You might maybe like a bow and an arrow. Cantilevers. Cantilevers is a very strong structure that's also used in aircraft wings, for example. Double cantilevers, hips, king post, queen post, scissors, vaults. So if you have a big tall roof, it's a vaulted roof. Each of these things is constructed with a different design. For this performance task, you do not need to know the differences. You only need to know that there are different names for different types of trusses. You got that? Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is, you might see something, well, this is a vaulted design or whatever. So don't let that stop you. Okay? All right, let's move on. All right, and here's figure 5. It has several triangular trusses evenly spaced to form the frame of the roof. This frame is partially covered by flat rectangular pieces of wood, and you can see they're identified as plywood. So once a frame is built, plywood is nailed down to cover it. Plywood is a strong flat board. It usually comes in 4 by 8 pieces, 4 foot by 8 foot. When plywood is used to cover a frame, it is called decking. So there's the decking covering the frame, right? These are called what? What are these called? Trusses, right? Okay, good. Okay, so once the decking is on the frame, the roofing material is added to finish the roof, okay? So, what information might be necessary in order to build a roof? Anyone have any idea? Yes? What?
Asphalt?
Asphalt? Well, like what kind of material are you going to use to cover, to put over that would be good. What else? Yeah, what do you think?
The environment, building in.
Well, I think that's going to go into the design. If you're in a snowy region, you're going to want those steep roofs, right? Or if you're in a less snowy region, maybe more flat would be in order. But if you had steep roofs, versus a flat roof, what's going to need more material? Steep roof, right? So you would need to know the size. You would need to know these dimensions. So if for example, I was going to ask you to go buy the correct amount of plywood for this roof, you would need to know the slope or the pitch of the roof and the dimensions, and then you would be able to figure out how much plywood you need. So you can make an adequate purchase, and you don't have to keep running back to that place that we go to, that hardware place, right? Okay, that's pretty good. Pretty good. Any other questions about what we're doing? About building roof trusses? Because if you don't, do you all get it? Okay. Then I have a proclamation for you. Because if you don't have any more questions, I proclaim you now ready to complete the roof rehab performance task on your upcoming Smarter Balance Assessment Consortium test. Thank you very much. How'd I do?
Oh,
Think I'm good?
yeah.
Okay, you're just cut off the beginning of that. I think you could probably, that's about a